Hey there, Stampers. This is Sherry Roth. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Alberta, Canada, and I am excited to be here today to share with you the Snow Days Scrapbooking Workshop Kit. So this is one of the 4 workshop kits that were released on September 4th, 2024. They are part of the new Stampin' Up! Scrapbook line, which I am super excited about. I am a stamper and a scrapbooker. I love to stamp in my scrapbooks. But I'm super excited about these because they can be super simple or elaborate. They are perfect for somebody who's never scrapbooked before or a seasoned scrapbooker. So basically in this workshop kit will include everything that you need to create 3 2-page spreads. Down here, it does have additional supplies that you will need. So things like a paper trimmer, adhesive, scissors, those types of things. The other thing is each one of our workshop kits includes a technique, and this kit's technique is ink blending with blending brushes. This is something that you can leave out or you can include it. So I did pull out Pool Party and a Pool Party blending brush that I plan on using. I've also got some 3x3 post-it notes that I've trimmed into strips, and you'll see what I use those for, and a pencil. And I have an embossing buddy. And again, if you keep watching, you'll see what that's for. So one of the great things about these workshop kits is you can keep it super simple or you can step it up. And because all of the items that are in this kit coordinate with Stampin' Up! Products, there's additional products that you can pull in to step these layouts up. So I did pull in the coordinating stamp set. So this stamp set is part of this collection. It does come separately, so it's optional. If you are not a stamper, you don't need to do this. But I did pull this in. I also pulled in the Reindeer Memories stamp set. These stamp sets are great for scrapbookers because they've got nice big titles. And they aren't just for like seasonal layouts, so wintry layouts and Christmas layouts, because you can use bits and pieces of them. So the word memories, you can combine that with another word or with an alphabet set to create a title. This doesn't necessarily have to be a Christmas gift. It could be a birthday gift. This can be used on anything. This on this day at any time for any layouts, and same with the when, where, what. What fun, that can be used at any time. Better together, that can be used on so many different layouts. Unforgettable memories, magical moments, again, not just for winter. So these are really versatile stamp sets. Okay, the other thing that I pulled in, there is a collection in our holiday mini catalog that has additional products that coordinate with this collection. So I have pulled in the ribbon. This is like a pom-pom trim, which coordinates with this Pool Party paper. And I've pulled in some of these white loose snowflakes. They are these tiny little snowflakes that are going to be perfect accents for these layouts. And then I had some white and Poppy Parade Baker's Twine, because there's Poppy Parade in some of the pattern papers. So I thought to bring in another little pop of red, it would be nice to have that there. But again, you do not need those supplies. I just wanted to point them out. Okay, so let me talk about what you get in your kit. You get these photo placeholders. So these are for the 6 layouts. So down at the bottom here, it tells you that these 6 layouts will hold 13 photos, and what size and how many and which direction these photos go for each one of these layouts. So if you wanted to replicate them exactly as is, this is what you would need to print it in order to put on your pages. And then if you don't have the photos printed, when you go to sit down and create the layouts, you have these photo placeholders that you can put so that you know what size you need to print your photos at a later date. Okay, so there's those. And then there's several sheets of pattern paper. So you can see all this pattern paper. So much good stuff. All right, so I believe you get 2 of these. So these ones are double-sided. This is one side and the snowflakes are the other side. Then you get 2 of these. You've got diagonal stripes on one and holly on the other. This is an exclusive paper. You get 2 sheets of these, and any of the exclusive papers that any of the papers that are exclusive to the workshop kits are single-sided. So that's where you'll know that you won't find those papers anywhere else. And then this is also an exclusive one. So this is single-sided. And then I believe this one is double-sided. Yes. So you get the little houses and then you get the candy canes. Okay, so in addition to the DSP, you also get the cardstock that you need. So this one includes lots of white cardstock. And then you get 2 sheets of pool party cardstock. This is just the backing. And then you get a sticker sheet. Okay, so those are the contents of the kit. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I am just going to pull out my instructions. Okay, and we're going to start with this pattern paper. So we want this one here. We'll set the rest aside. Okay, and if this was directional, okay, first of all, it shows the front and the back. If this was directional, then it would show you how to orient it. This isn't really directional, so it doesn't really matter how you have it. I guess unless you want your diagonal stripes going exactly the same direction. And then it gives you the cutting guide. So here, these go all the way down. The first measurement is always going to be across. So this is 2.5 inches by 12. Okay, and then here you can see that there's a dotted line down here. These pieces, they're not the full 12-inch length, but you can cut them 12 inches. You'll just end up with those little scraps at the end. Okay, so this is the first piece that we're going to cut. I just put this in here and we're going to cut it at 2.5 inches. Okay, and then each one of these pieces is labeled. So this is 2I. I think that's an I. So 2I. So I'm just going to write 2I. And then I'm going to put this on here. Now you can flip it over and write 2I on here, but I don't want to do that because I may end up using this side instead of this side. So I just want to label that so that I know which layout it goes with, which piece it's meant to be, but I want to have the flexibility to make some changes when I go to assemble the layout. Okay, so this next one is 1.5 inches.
One of the things that I forgot to mention was that on the cutting guide, there is a little image of some scissors. That is the recommended first cut mark, and sometimes that will make a difference. It will help you conserve cardstock, and sometimes it doesn't really matter. So I just wanted to point that out.
So this piece we don't need. We'll set that aside. Okay, and we want to label these as we go. This one is 2B, but you'll notice that there is a little asterisk next to the B, and the asterisk says use back of paper. So I'm going to flip this one over and I'm going to label this side.
Okay, so now we're going to work on the second sheet, and this one is definitely directional. So you really want to pay attention to how you're cutting those pieces. So what I did was I initially put my cards or my pattern paper the way it shows in the photo, and then it shows me where that first cut mark is. So I rotated it so I could make that first cut mark.
Okay, so I just noticed that this one, it says 1 by 12. Well, I have enough here, and it's 1 by 12. We're using the back side, which is this snowflake side, which isn't directional. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use this scrap piece that I have here rather than cut into this larger piece. So if we were using this side, then that makes sense because then your snow globes would be going the wrong way. But because you're using the back, like it makes more sense to cut from the scrap. So I just wanted to point that out. So again, here, this, you can cut that all the way down, but I prefer to keep whatever I can a 12-inch length if I can. So I just cut 7 inches down, and then I'm going to rotate this around and cut it, line it up with the 7 inches and cut to that cut line.
Now we're working on the third sheet, and again, this is a directional paper, so you really want to pay attention to the direction of the pattern paper and also where that first cut mark is so that you cut it correctly. Another great thing that you could do is once you're finished with each one of your workshop kits, keep the cutting guides because they can be used over and over and over again. So you can use them with different patterned papers, different supplies, maybe some bundles, some sweets from the annual catalog or the mini catalogs, and you would end up with completely different looking pages by just reusing these same templates. Okay, so this paper, it's got a very small pattern, but you do really want to be careful as how you cut it. So it isn't obviously directional, but it is directional. So a lot of the cutting guides use, because you're creating 2-page spreads, it continues a piece of paper, a pattern across 2 pages, and you want to make sure that that pattern is going in the same direction for both of those pages. So really be mindful of the direction that you're cutting these papers. Just pay close attention to those images that show you the direction that you're cutting.
Okay, here's another tip. So these appear to be the photo mats for your photos. So if you want to conserve cardstock, what you can do, so for example, 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. So this would be for a 3 by 4 photo. So these here, so this is supposed to indicate your photo. If you want a white mat that's larger than your photo, you can cut these pieces. If you're okay trimming a smidge off of your photo, you can use these as your mats rather than cutting into your white cardstock. So I'm going to conserve my cardstock and just use these for my photo mats. So I would cut for a 3 by 4 photo, I might cut it 2 3/4 by 3 3/4 or 2 7/8 by 3 7/8, depending on how much of a white border I want showing. So that reduces the bulk in your albums, or it could also just conserve cardstock. Okay, so I'm going to skip that step, but I do want to check to see, okay, so this is for layout 3, so that's obviously not going to be a photo mat because it's much larger. Let's just take a look at layout 3. Yeah, so that's for this piece right here. So I am going to cut that piece out. So now I have all of my photos done, or my papers cut. Now I'm going to assemble them in groupings. I think that's the next easiest step to take, and it will keep everything organized. So for this first layout, we can see that it's the pool party 12 by 12 backgrounds. So these will be all the 1, everything with a 1 on it.
So I'm going through all my labeled pieces and I am pulling out everything that is a 1 and I'm sorting it in groupings of 1, 2, and 3 for the different layouts. And then I'll put I'll pull out the photo placeholders, and I'll use that grid on the bottom right of the first page of the instructions and pull out the photo placement pieces that go with that layout and put that in a pile. This is just a great next step because it keeps everything organized. And then I'll repeat that same process for the next two layouts. Okay, so now that everything is sorted, I'm going to start working on the first layout, which I believe I am working on the second layout in the collection. So the one with the two white backgrounds. And I thought that one would be fun to start with because it's got the technique with it. And that is the one that I thought I would change up the least, to be honest. So I did show you a little tip there. I love my quilting ruler. I have a 6x12 inch quilting ruler, and that allows me to measure in two directions at once. And these instructions, so there is a colored photo of the layout, and then there's a muted photo of the layout that has all of the measurements and the pieces that need to be used. And on that muted layout or photo, it also includes measurements as to how far in and how far up things need to be placed. So if you love to recreate layouts exactly as the sample, this is perfect. And a quilting ruler allows you to measure in two directions at once, so you can get it in the perfect place without having to measure kind of twice. But again, those are guidelines. You do not need to be that particular. You can stick to just what looks good to your eye. It doesn't have to be exactly as shown. And you'll see I do make a couple little changes along the way here. For this left-hand page, I keep the photo placement and the measurements pretty much the same, but for the second page, I do make a couple slight modifications. All right, so now I'm going to do the technique, which is ink blending. So I've pulled out my Pool Party ink pad and just a scrap piece of paper. I just dab that extra ink off. And you can see that I have not positioned that Pool Party striped DSP or strip of DSP and my photo placeholders because I knew that I needed to do some ink blending and I wanted to be able to reposition that, like move that out of the way. So now I've brought my quilting ruler back. I've repositioned kind of where I want them to determine where I want my second little area of ink blending. And you can add as much of this as you want and make it as dark as you'd like it. It looks kind of funny like that. It just looks like a big circle, but you know that your placeholders are going to go over top of that, or your photo mats are going to go over top of that, and it's not going to look so odd, like having a big pool party circle right in the center of your layout. Okay, so I'm just using adhesive. Another great thing is if you did cut your white photo mats, and you are putting those down here instead of your placeholders, if you want to put your placeholders in there, you can use temporary adhesive and just stick your placeholders on there so that you have the measurements and you know exactly what you need to print. And then just remove those placeholders and reuse those over and over and over again. But these are serving as my photo mats, so I did just use permanent adhesive on there. Okay, so now we're going to work on the second layout, so the right-hand side of the layout. And they do have instructions here, and I really encourage you to read through the instructions to make sure that you understand exactly how it goes together. And you can see that as I use these pieces, I'm taking off my the little Post-it tabs that I use to mark the pieces, and I will keep those in a little Ziploc baggie so that I can reuse them the next time I do a page kit. So I can just reuse those Post-it notes over and over and over again. Okay, so when I do a 2-page spread and there's something that goes all the way across, I do like to have that second page lined up as well, just to make sure that everything looks as though it's seamless. So it looks like a 12 by 24 inch layout rather than two 12 by 12 layouts, because they are meant to look cohesive. Okay, so here, this is where I make my changes. If you look at the image and how I'm positioning my photos, or my placeholders, they had that 4x6 photo down a little bit further. So the photos were not even all the way across the page. I prefer the look of them going even across the page. So I did keep mine level and then moved that one photo, that one 3x4 or 4x3 photo down a little bit, which I think it is down on the photo. So here I'm just showing you how I'm making those changes. So that's what I'm going to do. So you can see those two 4x6 photos are kind of level. And then that 3x4 photo or 4x3 photo on the right hand side is just a little bit lower. And I flipped that over because it's printed 3x4 rather than 4x3. So I just flipped it over. And then there is a journaling sticker card that goes just above that, but you'll see that in a minute. So now I'm just going to add my ink blending. Okay, so if you've already adhered your layer of DSP, what you can do is just grab a scrap piece of copy paper and just cover over that DSP so that you can add your ink blending over top. There's always a creative solution if you've stuck something down. Okay, so now I'm going to look at the sticker sheet and pull out the stickers that I need. And what I like to do when I work with stickers is I'll kind of pull out the stickers that I need and just kind of put them on, stick them onto something. So I just pulled out a larger block and I'm kind of pulling off the stickers, some of the stickers that I need to create my layout. I did not pull them all out. There's actually quite a few that we're using on this 2-page spread. And then we're using that big memories. So I'm going to pull that out. And then now all of these stickers you can stick down just as is. So these are stickers, so they're completely adhesive. I do like dimension on my scrapbook layouts. So what I like to do is remove some of the adhesive from the back and then use dimensionals to stick them down. Regardless of how you decide to do it, whether you like to put them flat or whether you are going to take some of that stickiness off and use dimensionals, be mindful of the placement of your embellishments, especially if you do not have photos on your layouts. So some of the placements, some of the embellishments kind of overlap your photos, and you don't want to stick them down when you need to tuck your photos underneath. So you may want to remove some of that tackiness from behind wherever your sticker is sitting on the photo or overlapping the photo. Okay, so here, I'm sorry, I'm off camera a little bit, but you saw me remove the stickiness and then I added dimensionals, but I did add a little bit of just seal adhesive on either end because I kind of wanted the banner to be almost curvy. So this way there's dimension in the middle, but it's flat on either end. Okay, so here, this is that journaling card that goes over top. And remember, I didn't cut my photo mats the size that they were intended to be cut. I am using my placeholders as photo mats. So I do need to trim that, that pocket card, or not pocket card, journaling card down a little bit. So I trimmed it down so it would be the same size as the placeholder, which is 4x3. Okay, so now I think I'm ready to start adding my snowflakes. Oh, I've got a couple little things. So there's this little tab, petal pink tab that's kind of tucked underneath there. I kind of played around with positioning a little bit, but I did end up going like in the same position as the sample. And then there's a little flagged banner piece that kind of gets tucked under that 4x3 photo mat that gets added. And then I go ahead and add my dimensionals or my embellishments.
All right, so I'm all done. You can see I did make a few changes. So here there were only 2 snowflakes. I added this extra little one here instead of down here by this snowflake. I altered my positioning on my photo mats just so that it would go straight across. I added that extra little white circle one up here instead of over here. And I did need to trim this because I did not cut my white mats 4 1/4 by 6 1/4 and 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. I'm just using the place card holders. I did have to trim 1/4 of an inch off of either side so that it would line up nicely with this. The other thing that I did is I used my embossing buddy on the back of most of these pieces. So this is flat, these two are flat, and this one over here is flat. Everything else I used the embossing buddy, took off the adhesive, and then added some dimensionals to it. And I actually really love how it turned out. I wasn't sure. I thought, oh, I'm gonna have to add some stamping and maybe some extra embellishments, but I actually quite like it just like it is. It was a good first experience with working with one of these workshop kits. So I'm looking forward to creating the other 2 layouts in this kit. And once those videos are done, I will make sure to link them in the description. But I hope you guys found this video helpful, and I shared some tips and tricks along the way to help ease the process and have fun putting your workshop kits together. All right, thanks so much for watching.